I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I am lucky for having a brain where all of the chemicals flow properly to their destinations like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering he's confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each visit shorter in duration than the last. Every time without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming. It makes it easy for him to fake being normal and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking that he is ready for rehabilitation. They tell me that I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he finally comes back. After centuries spent crawling through an endless desert, the devil appeared and offered the man a glass of water. Though suspicious, he savored every drop, and afterwards he looked up gratefully. "Why do you offer me such kindness?" he asked the devil, through cracked, scabbed-over lips. The devil smiled and patted him on the head. "Because you had forgotten that kindness existed." Then the man was alone again, and the moisture remaining in his mouth turned to sand. Every day, I see my father at work. He pretends like he doesn't see me, but I know he does. I try to do the same, but that doesn't really pan out well either. When you're at work, you gotta be on the top of your game. So I do my best to just get on with what I'm supposed to do and get my job done. I can feel him watching me. Good. I want him to see how different I am from him. I'm not in your shadow, Dad. I'm my own person. I know what you're wondering. Do others know he is my old man? Hard to say, really. If they don't, I have no plans to correct them. If they do, well, there's nothing I can do about it. We are all under the shadow of our parents for the duration of most of our lives, whether we like it or not. In some cases, it just happens to be more obvious than others. Our parents help us define who we are. It is only a question of whether you follow their example or run as fast as you can in the opposite direction. For example, if you have a drug-abusing parent who happens to murder a newlywed couple that gets stranded on the side of the road when you're only 10 years old, that might make one inclined to perpetuate a similar kind of violence. Or it might make you decide to be a prison guard so you can make sure they and others just like them can't do it to anyone else. Much like I did. The first time I died, I didn't realize what had happened. I saw my wife's shocked face at my limp body. I felt her hands shake me. I heard her cries of disbelief as I didn't answer. I saw the paramedics shake their heads. Dread filled me on my way to the morgue. Terror replaced it as scalpels were brought out to begin an autopsy. I felt pain I had never known as they opened me and took out my vital organs. Yet still, I was aware. When nothing unnatural was found about my death, my burial began. I felt my body being placed in an open hole and a tree placed over top me. I had always been a bit of a nature nut and thought that feeding a tree with my remains would be a way to complete the circle of life. I felt the agonizing stages of decomposition, but over time, I began to notice other sensations. Warm sunlight, cool rain, the swaying of limbs. Eventually it dawned on me. As the tree fed on the nutrients of my body, my soul was flowing into it. But none of these sensations compared to what came next. The feel of mines. I had chosen to be buried in a forest that had been planted with people like me, others who would allow trees to grow with the nutrients of their bodies. Now I knew how rightly I had chosen. Something had drawn us into the trees, and somehow we could communicate. The youngest still used language to talk. The oldest had surpassed that need. Why use the barrier of words to describe the love of family or the warmth of sun when you could send the feelings directly to another? It was a serenity I had never experienced. Years later, we heard news from a young one. He told us of war. Our country had invaded another. A flood of young ones followed, all telling the same tale. The war was not going well. Our forest was growing, and it filled us with unease. Then we heard cries of pain and agony from one on our edge. The forest was supposed to be off limits out of respect for the dead, but more supplies were needed. Wood was needed to feed the machines of war. Helpless, we waited as friends and grandchildren cut into us. The young ones were first, still using words to curse and cry out in pain. Older ones came next, projecting the bite of metal into bark. Finally, as the oldest fell, they sent the very sensation of death through us. I could not see, but I could feel the rumble of the earth as their machines worked towards me. I could not hear, but I could feel the vibrations of their saws as they came closer. I could not scream, but I could feel the bite of their blades as I died my second death.